where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up? It's Sunday. Is it? What day is it? Is it Sunday? I need to start the stream. Don't worry, no one shows up at the beginning of the stream. It'll be fine. Happy Sunday, y'all. It is Sunday afternoon. It's 1 p.m. and that means it's time for us to do our Q&A stream. Carbon Cage FPV. It's 1 a.m. in Australia. Freezing my butt off. And Joshua pops up. Heart eyes. Puerto Rico representing YOLO FPV. Puerto Rico, strong FPV scene in Puerto Rico, I have to say. Very good, very good. Fred Thompson got his TBS Crossfire starter pack yesterday. TBS going hard to eliminate the argument that they're more expensive than, hang on a second, than FreeSky R9. The one reason not to get Crossfire is because it's more expensive, and the other reason to not get Crossfire is that R9 does 1 watt on the micro module, while Crossfire only does 250 milliwatts on the micro module. But TBS is closing that gap with a fierceness. The other reason to not get Crossfire might be this. Don't know. People are already texting me or messaging me to be like, so how's Ghost? How's Ghost? And I'm like, you'll know when the video comes out. What am I? It looks there. Ghost, the new 2.4 gigahertz control system from Immersion RC. 2.4 gigahertz? What are they thinking? Why not 900 megahertz? 2.4 gigahertz. How much is the penetration? You'll know when I know. Actually, you'll know after I make a video. There's another thing I got. It's been a very busy week for me. There's another thing I got in the mail that everybody's curious about. It's the shark bite from Fat Shark. I have it. Not allowed to show you anything about it, though. They actually, Immersion RC sent the ghost out to testers, and as far as I know, there's no embargo. So if there is an embargo, then I'm in trouble now. But whatever. Fat Shark specifically requested that their testers not release information until a certain date, so that I'm torn on. Let's talk about embargoes. Let's talk about embargoes. This is a total YouTuber thing or reviewer thing. I can't decide if I like embargoes or not. On the one hand, when they embargo, and by the way, in case you're not, an embargo means that the company sends you a product and they says you're not allowed to make any public statements about the product until such and such a date. The typical reason that they do it is that they're coordinating a big launch and they don't want information leaking ahead of the launch. So you'll hear about like leaks of the new Samsung phone and so forth. As a reviewer, like when I get a product and they say there's an embargo on it, I don't like, I'm a total prima donna, okay? I acknowledge that. I don't like when I put my video out and there are 20 other videos the exact same time, the exact same day, and it just feels like I'm part of a cattle call. That's the prima donna thing, right? It's like, I want to be special. But that's the exact reason they do the embargo. It's not just so that information doesn't leak. It's also so that one reviewer doesn't get preferential treatment. And also so that, like, it gives the real thing advantage, I think, of an embargo from the perspective of you. And I'm always trying to think about things from your perspective, from the viewers, from the customer's perspective. The real thing about an embargo is that it discourages people to rush and put out shit content. If you send the product out and you say there's an embargo until 3 weeks from now, it means that everybody is free to take 3 weeks to review the product. No one feels like they have to rush. But that moment when at 9 a.m. on Sunday, everyone drops their video, I just almost like, Anyway. So I do have the new shark bite system. I am working on it, but you're not going to hear anything about it until the embargo lifts. I assume that simply mentioning that I got it is not a violation of the embargo. I haven't said anything about it except that I do have it. It does exist! Oh, shoot, I broke the embargo. We're going to do some Q&A. I already see questions coming in the chat. We're going to get to those questions. However, before we do that, we're going to do news of the week. I do a news segment at the beginning of every live stream to get people into the stream. Hello, patrons. Hello, patrons. Over in the Discord, people are talking about the embargo, about embargoes in general. Yeah, Pappy in the Discord says you got to be respectful of the company giving you a product and telling you a few rules. That's true. I don't in any way begrudge companies the right to impose an embargo. But there have been products where the company sent me a product, they said there's an embargo, and I looked at the product and went, like, for example, when Immersion RC sends you Ghost, you're gonna review it. When Eachine when Eachine sends you their new OLED goggles, you're gonna review it. It's just such a interesting product and a hot product, and people want to know about it. When Fat Shark sends you Shark Bite, you're gonna review it. Whatever their terms are, you're not gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna pass. But sometimes I get I'm not gonna insult anybody by naming names, but sometimes I get a product and I'm like, it's okay product. And then they're like, now we're gonna embargo this and we're gonna put all these terms on it. And I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm just gonna pass. So, anyway. What do we got for news this week? News. And by the way, I am looking, if you are any kind of like a graphics person, I would love to get a little what do they call them? A bumper? A little graphic to transition to news. And it could have my news theme song. Oh, by the way, hang on. News of the day. It's news of the day. We're gonna get some news today and find out what happened in the world, but not the world, because the world sucks and the news in the world is really bad. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about FPV news. Oh, Josh Feltz wants to know if I'm going to review the Flywoo Explorer LR4. Do you know what, Josh? They offered me the Flywoo Explorer a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And then as I so often do, I just didn't do anything with it. I was just like, oh, I'll have to get back to them. And then they went ahead and like released their product. And I was like, oh, that does look pretty cool. I actually just emailed Flywoo this morning to say, can you send me one? So I'm going to be last to the party as always. But I would like to see that quad. Brandon Munar doing his 3-packs for the day. Good for you, Brandon. When I do full stick pops rolls, my Fat Sharks go static. Brandon, that means that your VTX is losing power. Static means your VTX is losing power. So usually if it's a CL Racing flight controller or a JBF4, the 9-volt regulator on those flight controllers can drop out. Like, for example, a lot of people have the Armatan pre-builds with the CL Racing. And when you do a full stick, the 9-volt regulator drops out and the VTX goes to static. You can solve that by connecting the VTX to VBAT, which, assuming the VTX is rated for that, which it probably is. Or I've heard that the little... That's my workaround. It's a JBF4. Yeah, Brendan, move the VTX of power to VBAT. So I'm just drinking water today. I'm out of Mio squirts. Mio still has not noticed that I'm trolling them for a sponsorship. Mio, I drink Mio squirts. If I had Mio squirts, this would be a flavored beverage, but instead it's freaking water. Oh, that tastes good. Water, so healthy. I'd much rather have a drink flavored with delicious Mio squirts. Mio squirts are an easy way to add flavor to anything you're drinking, but usually water. Mio, sponsor me. We need a JB DJI build, says Ron Rid. Whenever I do a build, I say to myself, like my latest build with Get FPV, the Xylo build, I say to myself, you know what? I'm not going to go DJI. Beginners, they want something cheap. Analog, I'm not going to be like that guy. But then people are like, DJI, where's your DJI build? I'm like, oh, Ghost Branch FPV. Let's do the news. News. See, if I had a news segment, then I would know that I was in the news segment and I wouldn't be getting distracted. Ghost Branch FPV in the Discord submits this news item for Betaflight. Kind of excited. Thanks to Mike Keller for this new feature in Betaflight. What is it? Reorder motors. It's a motor remapping tool. Hello. Worth pointing out that Flight 1 has had this for years. Credit where credit's due. But I'm glad. Yeah, look here. Click the motor that's spinning. Click the motor that's spinning. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you. Now it also... We need a similar tool for board alignment is the only problem. We also need a board alignment tool that says, put the quadcopter on its nose, put the quadcopter on its side kind of a thing. But this is so good. Because a lot of times when you reorder the motors, you also need to redo the board alignment. This is so good. When can I have this? Hallelujah. So good. So glad. Betaflight, it's like Winston Churchill said, Betaflight will do the right thing only after it's tried everything else. Ha! Eventually, it's like, no, the problem is someone has to actually step up and do it. That's the problem. Let's see. A lot of people sending me this Flywoo Explorer long-range quad 18 as news. That will be in the... the last 3. Look at this. Let's look here. Here's the news. Here's my news label. Here's news. The Flywoo. And yeah, you're going to look at the Flywoo? You're going to look at the Flywoo? Okay, I get it. I'm going to look at the Flywoo. Here it is. 4-inch micro long-range ultralight quad with Caddx Vista HD system. 18-minute flight time, sub 250 grams, depending on the battery. You can get it under 250 grams, but you don't get an 18-minute flight time with that battery. You put a heavy battery on it, you go over 250 grams, you get 8-minute flight time. It's pretty badass. Now, I've always said that for long-range quads, you really have to have, like, return to home, GPS rescue. I don't know if this has that, but we'll give it a look. Other news. What other news? Oh, here's interesting news. News is also, like, new products. Oh, look at this, the RunCam Racer. But wait, the RunCam Racer 4... Oh, hang on. Where's the picture? Where's the DJI picture? There we go. RunCam Racer 4 can be hooked to DJI. What? Your website's confusing me, RunCam. Say you got a DJI plug, you can hook the RunCam Racer to an air unit. This is really interesting. DJI seems to be making their interface for their camera available to third parties. Like Caddx has the Nebula, RunCam has the Racer 4. So if you don't like the DJI camera, you could try something else. I'm torn on this. I've always thought that the DJI camera was pretty good. So like, and I've actually never, I hate to say this, but I've never been much of a fan of the RunCam Racer. Maybe because I'm not a racer. So I'm not sure that this is a step up, but it's a $40 camera, and I think the DJI camera is closer to $60. So there you go. News of the day. News of the day. BL Heli S version 16.7.1 now supports bidirectional D-shot and RPM filtering. If you have been paying Joe Lucid $1 for JESC, more power to you. Joe Lucid's a good guy. He works hard and he deserves it. The JESC configurator is a great way to flash BL Heli to your ESC, even if you're not using JESC. So absolutely pay Joe Lucid $1. Keep doing it. But if you wanted free RPM filtering on your BL Heli SESC, until now you had to use Jazz Maverick firmware. And I have to say, I'm officially news of the day is I'm going on record. I don't recommend people use Jazz Maverick. I'm sorry to the guy behind that who is probably gonna not like to hear me say that. When Jazz Maverick first came out, I was like, see, that's open source. Somebody is putting this work out for free, and that's great. But Jazz Maverick has made some weird decisions, technically speaking, that I think were mistakes, and that compromised the handling of the motors. There were no safety issues, but like one of the changes he made, in my opinion, caused RPM filtering to just not work properly. And then there's another feature that he tried to add that like changed the motor curve, and people were like, "Is that a good idea? Maybe the ESC should just do what it's told." And then he kind of rolled it back. But now that BL Heli S, the official BL Heli S, supports bidirectional D-shot and RPM filtering, I don't think there's a reason to sort of take chances with Jazz Maverick doing weird, crazy things. So that's news. Let's see. What else have we got? Yeah, okay. That's all the news I got. If you have news items that you think I need to cover, toss them in news@joshuabardwell.com for news items for this segment. Did I see any news this week? I guess not. Chris Lindgren wants to know about my solar setup. I do have solar cells on my house. That's not really news. People say we should make a video about your solar system. I'm like, I don't know. There's solar cells on my house. They put the solar cells on the house, and now sometimes my electrical bill is lower. Oh, that's newsworthy. Ty, that's very newsworthy. Holy crap. See, this is why I ask you guys to send me news, because stuff happens, and I don't hear about it. And then I'm like, whoa. Check this out. Oh, that's not right. Hang on, which window? There we go, this window. The FPV Cycle 1S AIO with TBS Crossfire and TBS Pro 32 Nano VTX. Is it built in or is it soldered on? What do we got here? Ah, it looks like it's soldered on top and stacked on top. The 1S toothpick, is this a flight controller? With Crossfire RX and Pro 32 Nano. Wow. So this is a 1S toothpick flight controller and ESC. Here's the flight controller and the ESC. But then you add on a TBS Nano and a Crossfire, and you have the most capable toothpick I think you could even imagine. The real weakness, oh, and it's from Z's. Way to go, Z's. Z's and FPV Cycle getting together. Z's is making some waves. The real problem with these little quads is that the receiver is terrible and the video transmitter is terrible. So by putting on a great video transmitter and a great receiver, you can basically do and go anywhere you want. That's pretty cool. Very cool. Bob Ruge, one of the guys who is pushing FPV forward. You know, when they talk about the innovators, and how the cloners kill the innovators. Bob Ruge is one of those innovators. He is just a guy who is always trying to think, what hasn't somebody done that could be interesting to do? I think he deserves a lot more credit, frankly, than he gets. And he gets credit from his fans, but a lot of people don't know who this freaking dentist is, who also, yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right, that's it for news. Bye-bye, news. Now, I normally would put this overlay here, streaming Sunday 1 p.m., Monday 8 p.m. I do want to tell you that, okay, what the fuck? What the fuck? Hold on. It's idiots. Boom. Cold pancakes, you're in timeout. If you do it again, you're just going to get kicked and never be seen again. So don't do that. Cold pancakes is fired. Cold pancakes, by the way, are delicious, for the record. They're delicious. Dexter in the Discord wants to know, how do I set up my TBS Crossfire Diversity Nano to get the beacon function to work? What backup LiPo do I have to use? Does the Diversity Nano definitely have the beacon function? Because I know the big receiver has beacon with the built-in battery. It does have beacon. Okay. I don't know how to set that up. I'm sorry to tell you. I've never, that's a long range thing, and I haven't really ventured into long range very much. So, like, let's just look and see if we can find it in the manual. Nope. I think that you should look at the documentation for the TBS Crossfire Diversity. Let's look that up. Instead of the Nano, let's look up the Diversity RX. Nope, I can't find anything except the Nano. Damn it. TBS Crossfire 8-channel Diversity RX. So the Nano is basically just this receiver in a much smaller form factor. Let's see if we can find a manual here. Manual/files, Crossfire manual PDF. Let's see what we got here. Do you think GPS is necessary for freestyle? No, it's not necessary. The only time I feel that GPS is really necessary is for long range. Okay, let's try to see if we can find the... Get over there. Get over there. What are we doing? What's wrong with my mouse? Get over there. There we go. Beacon. 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 It has an onboard battery. So where do you connect the battery? That's a good question. Okay. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Dexter. I don't know the answer to that. That's a pretty obscure question. I would say contact TBS support, and if you find the answer, let me know so I can help the next guy. That's what I would say. So, here we go. So normally I would put this streaming overlay up. I want to let you guys know that I will not be streaming next weekend. I will be streaming tomorrow, Monday night, per usual. I have another trip that I am going on. Occasionally, people hire me to do consulting and training, and I don't do it very often because I like to stay home and make videos. But occasionally I choose to do it, and that will be another one of those weekends. I realized, by the way, I did one last month, just like 3 weeks ago. This is another one, and I understand that you guys miss the live streams when I'm gone. But this coming weekend will not be a stream, so there you go. Anyway. Does Crossfire Nano RX connect to any quad that powers up regardless of the model in the radio? Is that unusual? Sai Prasanth asks in the regular chat. Yeah, Crossfire does not support the feature you're asking about called model match. When model match feature is supported, then the model that's loaded in the radio is associated with the receiver, and if you have the wrong model loaded, it will not bind and will not connect. There isn't a way in OpenTX for OpenTX to communicate the model number to the Crossfire module, or the model, yeah, the receiver number. So Crossfire doesn't support model match except in the Tango 2. I believe the Tango 2 does support model match with Crossfire. But if you have a Crossfire external module in an OpenTX radio, then whichever model's loaded, any Crossfire quad will bind. So, Mr. Huggy says the micro diversity uses a 1S. As for buzzer, I would use V5 Lost Drone buzzer. I think, Mr. Huggy, the beacon that he's asking about is actually a RF beacon, a radio beacon of some kind. Yeah. Tango 2 has model match, but regular OpenTX doesn't. That's exactly what I said, right? Yeah, it does. Mike Bergman. You guys think you're correcting me. That's exactly what I said. Oh, I hadn't got there yet. You got to give me a second. Mike S. in the chat asks... Oh, so I should turn this... I should take this stream... Oh, here, hang on. Sorry, guys. Stream schedule overlay. Let me just right-click properties. Let's change this to read. How do I change the... Oh, it's a graphic. Damn it. Duplicate. How do I duplicate? Can I just duplicate it? Okay, how about this? Properties. Okay. Copy. Oh, there we go. Copy. Paste. There we go. News of the day. Here's what we're going to do. No stream next week. Let's put this up so everybody knows. Next week, the 23rd and 24th. Okay. Just to make sure. Where is it? Hello? What the F? Okay. I don't understand what's happening here. All right, that didn't go very well. I should just mess with that after the stream is over. Okay, no stream. Okay. Is PPM okay to use since I'm using a FlySky radio? Asks Stormer313. I would prefer to use iBus. The latency on PPM and the jitter on PPM is not good. Audio Geek says blue flashing light on a Unify Pro 32 HV won't stop. What does it mean? It happened while updating the firmware. I did everything right. Audio Geek, I think the blue flashing light, I think it means it's in bootloader mode. The flash failed. The fix is to reflash it, I think. Yeah, I think you've mucked it up. Switch Flip wants to know, could no OSD in the DJI system be a problem with the goggles? I had a crash and I no longer have OSD, but I accidentally dropped the goggles too. Ouch. No OSD in the goggles probably is a problem with the quad. There is a setting in the goggles, Show Custom OSD, that turns it on and off, but presumably that didn't get changed because you dropped it. Since you crashed the quad, I'm going to guess that the wiring to the air unit got damaged in some way, and that's what I would check. Can I integrate the DJI FPV goggles to the Mavic Air? Asks Muhammad Al-Hamadi. No, you cannot. They do not work like that. The Mavic Air uses Lightbridge, I believe. The DJI FPV goggles use their own separate protocol that is not Lightbridge. Andre Fabiani wants to know, can I use the smart audio connectors to send audio to the headphone in the goggles? I have no mic pin. No, that's not what smart audio does. You need a microphone. Are we ever going to see a Joshua Bardwell frame? Asks Argyle Sky FPV. I would not make a product just for the sake of making a product. I would only make a product because I want something special from the product that someone else isn't doing. So like if you look at my flight controller, I designed a flight controller because I wanted features in a flight controller that nobody else was doing that exact thing. So like even the new GemFan 51477 props, I didn't design those props. GemFan designed those props. I literally just flew those props and went, oh, this is a pretty good prop. This works really well. It worked. I thought it was a really good prop to use with my motors. And then I said, well, I want, can you make them in colors to match my motors? That's it. But that's something, you know. I don't know how other people do it, but when I put my name on a product, it's because I want the vendor to do something for me, and that's what I give them in exchange for making the thing that I want them to make. So I wanted purple and yellow props that matched my motors, and I said, and I legitimately think that's a good prop. I wouldn't put my name on it if I didn't think it was a good prop, but it's the same 51477 prop that always existed. I just asked them to make it in my color, and I said, okay, we just put my name on it and then give it to me in my colors. So as far as frames go, I haven't yet found a frame where I thought there was something I wanted that they weren't already doing. If I get to that point, then I might ask someone to make a frame for me. But we got a ton of super chats here. I wanted to make sure I got some regular chats just so you know I'm reading your messages. But let me get these super chats out of the way because we're like 20 minutes behind on the super chats. Terry Evans, thank you for $5 in the super chat. What's a better DVR for my Fat Shark HD02, please? Terry Evans, the Immersion RC Power Play is probably the best standalone DVR you can get. I use the Lumineer DX600 as well. The DX600 is a little bit less capable as a DVR, but the DX600 it actually records audio, whereas the PowerPlay doesn't. Although Paul Nurkala showed a mod you could do to install a microphone in the PowerPlay and let it record audio, but I have the Lumineer DX600 and it just does it already, so that works for me. The Colgate Kid, thank you for $20. Big donation. Thanks for the help. I helped him this week. There you go. Thank you, Colgate Kid. Shankar, thank you for 100 rupees. You're the encyclopedia of quads. Thank you so much. Kat, thanks for $2. Would you go with a 3-inch or 5-inch with a budget build? Kat, I think that 5-inch is a great place to be in terms of performance, durability, etc. The big reason to go with 3-inch is, well, first of all, some people just love the way micros fly. Fair enough. I think for 3-inch, I think most people who are not restricted by a 250-gram limit are going to be happier with a 5-inch. So I would steer you towards a 5-inch unless you just live somewhere where you're not able to fly 5 inches, in which case 3 inches is a great way. You can get great performing 3 inches, but the durability is not quite as good as a good 5-inch. Evil 12 wants me to share my 3D printer settings for TPU. I can do that. I actually have my Cura profiles linked. Let me grab that link for you. Let me grab that link for you. Copy link, can view the item. Yeah. So, Evil 12, here's a link to my Cura profiles. The only note that I have for you there, I have a larger fan on my printer. I have so my fan speed like maxes out at 70% because it's a bigger fan. So the only thing you might need to change is you might want to change if you have a small fan, you might want to change the fan speed up to 100% instead of 70%. But that's one of the reasons I haven't done more upgrades on my printer. Like I could put an upgraded hot end and stuff, and I'm like, well, then my profiles won't work for anybody else. So I like having print profiles that seem to help people out. So yeah. Ezon, thank you for €2. How do you do your stick overlay? I can show you. Oh gosh darn it. I can't find his... Bastian Sonderman, where are you? There's an app. There's an app that a guy named Bastian Sonderman made. And I'm trying to get you a link to his GitHub repo. There it is. B. Sonderman. How do you do your stick overlay? Ease on. The app I use is this app. Thank you to Bastian Sonderman, a very, very kind person who made this out of the goodness of his heart. I even tried to, I was like, thank you, man. I've been trying to hire somebody to make this for me for years, and no one has done it. And I said, I tried to pay him, and he said, no, I won't take any money from you. I only say that. I only say that because I want to and reinforce his generosity. Incredible guy, and this black box stick exporter that he made is amazing. So, Phantom FPV is in the chat. Hello, Phantom. Yeah. Did you guys see somebody hit that tree gap? Somebody hit the... I had that video that I showed on my live stream where I hit this tree gap. And somebody in liftoff in my house hit the same gap. Let's see. Where is it? I shared it. I reshared it. Where is it? I know I reshared it to my page. Where is it? Did I reshare it to the wrong page? I swear I shared it. Oh, okay. Well, I can't. Okay. Well, that's too bad. Hang on. I know where I can find it. You guys are gonna love this. I shared it in the Rotorite chat as well. Nope, can't find it. Apparently it doesn't exist. I just must have misremembered it. No, there it is. Aha, I found it. Great. Boom. Okay, so check this out. Oh, I can hit that. I can hit that. This is my audio from my video.
What do you think? You guys think I can do it?
But he recreated the flight.
I just chickened out because I wasn't expecting it. It's totally random, isn't it?
Whoop. There it is. So he recreated the flight over my audio. That's pretty slick. I'm pretty impressed. Rob Muller, thank you for €5. Sometimes I get random connection lost with my XM Plus. I fly a 5-inch with a QX7 radio. It's a 1-second loss, then reconnects. Could it be a bad LiPo? No. No. A bad LiPo isn't going to cause a RX loss like that. That's a receiver problem. Do you actually lose connection? That's the big question. Sometimes you'll get telemetry lost, but you'll keep connection. But it's not your LiPo. 100% not your LiPo. Yeah, it's on my Instagram. I swear Well, anyway, let's not overthink it. Priya Bharata Saha, thank you for 100 rupees. EV800D or EV800DM? With the DM, they ditched the split, so it's no use as a spectator screen. But reviewers say the fit and comfort is improved. Priya Bharata, I think both of those are really good goggles. I haven't personally tested the DM. I know that the E800D has been such a standby for so long that it's hard to move away from it. The DM, are there, you guys in the chat, are there any deal breakers about the 800 DM versus the D? The big difference is that the D, you can take out the screen and use it as a spectator screen, which to me, that's kind of like, that's a big deal. That's very nice to have. I'm not sure I would go to the DM, but... Oh, yeah, you guys seeing the ghost back here. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is real, and I have it. I'm working on testing it out. Here's the thing, though. I can already tell... Here's what I can tell you. I haven't actually flown this yet, to be fair. I only just got this. I've been working on putting the receiver in the quad. So I tell you that I haven't flown Ghost because I want you to know that I'm sincere when I say that what I'm about to tell you has absolutely nothing to do with the actual performance of this module. Maybe this module will just knock it out of the park from day one. Maybe there will be a few little problems with it. I mean, think about Rapid Fire. When Rapid Fire first came out, it was pretty good, but it had a couple little problems, and firmware updates fixed it. I think there's every chance that on day one, there will be some little problem with this that may require a little update to fix. And I think it's a very good chance that 3 months, 4 months, 6 months from now, the performance of this is going to be better than it is on day one. So in that sense, the opinion of the day one reviewers kind of doesn't matter. My accountant is telling me that that was the wrong thing to say. The opinion of day one reviewers is incredibly important, and you should listen to everything they say and buy all of the products that they endorse. Did I get that right? Okay, now she's smiling. The opinion of the day one reviewers on a brand new product like this, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but as far as a long-term prediction of the success of this product, if it were to stink on day one, there's every chance that it'll be much better and in a month. And if it's awesome on day one, there's still every chance that it'll be better in a month. It takes time for these things to work themselves out. When Crossfire first came out, it wasn't universally true that everybody just wanted to fly Crossfire, you know? But over the years, Crossfire has proven itself to be reliable, to have these firmware updates, but not like too often and not in a ridiculous, confusing manner. It is easy to live with. It has, and people have just, it's become this safe, comfortable thing. And that doesn't happen overnight. And that's what you want from your controlling. So I'm going to review this and I'm going to fly it and I'm going to tell you what I think of it. But the question of people are saying, should I buy Ghost? Should I buy Ghost? Should I throw out all my Crossfire receivers and just buy Ghost? And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I guess if you, that's what you like, if you're just kind of hyperactive and you just like spending money, go for it. But the day when people go, I'm just going to buy a bunch of receivers. Should it be Crossfire or should it be Ghost? That day, no matter how good Ghost is on release day, that day isn't going to exist until Ghost has been around for 6 months or a year. And then we go, okay, yes, I can, this is a solid foundation. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense? That's why people are like, well, what about this new FlySky system? I mean, this new FlySky 2.4 gig system. Like, it's not like FlySky is just nobody. FlySky's been around for a while, but like, Are you just gonna like put a bunch of these new FlySky receivers in your quads and throw out everything else, and then count on the fact that FlySky is still gonna have this system a year from now? At least with Immersion RC, there's a pretty good chance that they won't just abandon it. Although some users of Easy UHF are kind of mad and feel like they got abandoned. So. But I have high hopes for this. I feel like Immersion RC is all in on this system. And Immersion RC, here's my take on Immersion RC as a company. I should be this honest, but I'm gonna. My take on Immersion RC as a company is that when they are interested in a product, they just knock it out of the park. Then sometimes after there are products that they kind of aren't interested in anymore. That usually doesn't happen for a little while, but eventually they like have these old products that they kind of don't support anymore, and it's like nobody cares about it, and the people who bought those products are a little bit mad. But I feel like, you know, you look at Rapid Fire, there's firmware updates every couple of months or weeks and little bits. They've slowed down now that it's become more stable. I feel like they're all in on Ghost. And I think that means that compared to like a company that just comes out of nowhere and is like, buy our product, Immersion RC is going to be working really hard for the next little while to make this a good thing. And so the big question that needs to be answered is, how's the penetration going to be? Because it's 2.4 gigahertz, and that it's reasonable to expect it to have less penetration than 900 megahertz. So we'll see. Underground FPV and the FlySky Nirvana. Very good point, 661 FPV. FlySky Nirvana, amazing looking radio, kind of just got abandoned. The Underground FPV went out of business for some reason. So, all right, let me keep going with my super chats. Get the super chats finished up. Jacob Chauk, thank you for 10 Canadian dollars. Big Oily Guy, thank you for $20. Glass Pound, thanks for $5. I have the new AU line 18650 2000 milliamp hour lithium ion pack. I want to know the proper way to charge it. Charge it in LiPo mode, probably. If you charge in lithium ion mode, it'll only go to 415, but Glass Pound, most 18650 lithium ion cells actually have they're safe to charge to 4.2. There's some lithium ion cells that are only safe to charge to 415, but most of the things we buy today as lithium ion are actually safe to 4.2. Ultimately, you would want to check with the manufacturer, but I would personally probably charge it to 4.2. Marley Lepo, thank you for 50 Norwegian kroner. What's up, Marley? Connor West, thank you for $5. I built a quad with your flight control stack. I've had issues. We're going to skip this question. I've had issues flashing from Betaflight 4.0. Any tips that might help? Connor West, use the bootloader button instead of trying to do it in the software. Sometimes, I don't know what it is about my flight controller, but sometimes it doesn't like go to bootloader mode unless you use the button. Kat, thanks for $2. What do you think of 1408 motors versus 15XX, 16XX? I wouldn't say I have a strong opinion there, Kat. 1408 versus 1507, if you actually do the math on the stator volume, they're very close in volume. One is just a taller motor. In general, taller motors are going to have more top end and less linearity down low. Wider motors are going to have linearity and torque down low. As far as 16XX, that's usually a bigger motor overall, and it's going to have more power but also more weight. Most of the Cinewhoop designers seem to go for either like 1408, 1507, and actually I think 1408 may be a little more popular. So, Aber the Ham, thanks for $5. Aber put your question in the Discord, but now your question is gone, and you don't have the same username in Discord, so I don't know what your question is. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to help with that. And JT, thanks for 5 Canadian dollars. There we go. We're caught up. Let's do some chats. Let's do some chat questions. I'm in the chat now. Ask your question in the chat. People asking chat questions while I'm doing super chat's kind of just pissing in the wind. Can we use lithium-ion batteries on drone? Asks Insane DIY. Only if the discharge rate of the drone is very, very low. A lithium-ion battery, typically the max discharge, even for the like high discharge batteries, is around 20 or 30 amps. So either you do like a 2S 2P pack and you get like 40 to 60 amps. If you do a 1P pack, like a 4S 1P, you got to have like a really efficient quad. And that's what you see, like lithium ion packs being used on like little 3-inch cruisers that are pulling 10 or 12 amps at hover. That's an okay application. For a typical freestyle drone, you have to have the power density and the discharge rate of a LiPo. Does it matter what firmware you're using on OpenTX if you're running Crossfire newest firmware? Eric Dunlap, the only thing I can think of mattering is sometimes the Lua script on the SD card is out of date, and it can cause incompatibilities with the module firmware. So if you try to run the Crossfire Lua script and it says script killed CPU limit or some other error, you may need to update your OpenTX version, because the OpenTX version and the Lua script version are tied together, and the Lua script version and the Crossfire firmware are tied together. So Albert the Ham says his username is the same and his question is up above. There it is. Albert the Ham, thank you for your super chat and thank you for being a patron in my Discord. He asks, have you noticed Crossfire Nano RX as being incredibly sensitive to voltage and temp? Mine won't bind unless I have a separate 5-volt regulator to correct my flight controller's BEC, which only puts out 4.87 volts. No, Albert, I would say I have not noticed that. And one thing to keep in mind is a lot of flight controllers have a 5-volt pad that is powered from USB. And that means that there's a diode between the 5-volt pad and the 5-volt rail. And what that means is that when you plug in, the receiver is only seeing about 4.5 to 4.7 volts. That's completely normal. I have never noticed a problem of needing an external regulator to power the Nano receiver. Not at all. So I think that you've got something else going on here. He goes on to say it'll lose its bind if there's no fan blowing it on the bench. No. Something's not right. Replace that receiver. Contact Crossfire, contact TBS support and say, please send me a new receiver. Mine is screwed up. Don't say that. Be polite. Say, well, I've got this receiver and it's having some problems, and I just was wondering if you thought maybe it was messed up, because it just doesn't seem normal to me. If you come at support and go, your product is screwed up and you need to send me a new one, it's not going to go well for you. So let's see here. Jorge Aguirre, thank you for $5. Blue Cheese, thank you for 100. Danish Kroner, best Kroner, thank you for sharing the liftoff vid I made of your flight. Oh, that was you. Thank you. Thank you for making it. Danish Kroner. Whichever Kroner is the last Kroner that I got, I will then say is officially the best Kroner. So Norwegians and I think Swedish Kroner. Swedes and Norwegians, if you would like your Kroner to be officially recognized as the best Kroner, leave a super chat. A day at the range. Is the live stream over or not even started? A day at the range. Can you see it? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? A day at the range. Are you out there? Reload your screen. 507RC says, yeah, contact TBS support. Tell them Josh Bardwell said they should send you a new free one. Do not do that. Do not get TBS mad. TBS, me and Trappy have been getting along for like the last couple months. And I don't want to, I'm like, let's not mess it up. Daniel Siddiqui, how do I wire a Spectrum 4650 receiver to an iFlight F4 Mini? Danielle, the easiest way to connect a Spectrum 4650 is to use the SRXL2 protocol. In order to do that, you're going to connect the signal wire to a UART TX pad. The UART TX pad, and you're going to use the SRXL2 protocol. However, SRXL2 is only in Betaflight 4.1, I think. I think it's only in 4.1 and newer. So if you're on a previous version of Betaflight, you won't see SRXL2. Does the weight limit still apply if you're flying underwater? You're not flying if you're underwater. You're not in the national airspace. If you're underwater, you're not in the national airspace. Let's see here. Jack Kimball, have you seen the Acro Sim on Steam? I think I have. I think that I have the Acro Sim. I think I've installed it, and I haven't played it. In fact, the developer, let me see if that's the right sim. Hang on. The developer, yeah, the developer sent me a dev key. I installed it, and then I got busy and I didn't play it. And later he messaged me and was like, "I can see that you installed it. Why haven't you played it?" He wasn't rude. He wasn't. Let's see. Hang on here. Let me see here. Hang on. Let's do it. Let's play the Acro Sim right here on stream.
Welcome to OpenTX.
I've never played it. Wrong Way FPV says it sucks. Don't bother. Ouch. Let's see here. He was emailing me and saying, "I've put all this work into the physics. The physics is the most accurate physics ever." And I'm like, that is a bold frickin' claim, my friend. It is a bold claim. Let's see, where's my joystick model? Model select. Joystick. Select model. Okay. Now, USB game controllers, it's not recognized. Hang on a second. This is going to transform for a moment into a gaming stream. For real? My frickin' controller is not showing up on my frickin' computer. I have to roll back drive. All right, we're not going to do that on stream. We're not going to like do a driver rollback and all kinds of nonsense. Reboot my computer. No. This is, oh well. Today's not your day. Today's not your day, Acro Sim developer. I'm not going to troubleshoot my controller on stream. That's as far as I'm willing to go. Oh well. How's the Acro? Have you flown it? How's the Acro Sim on Steam? Is it any good? It's Blunty says, "I mean, it's cool, but the physics is not close to as accurate as Velocidrone. It's easy to do stuff, the weight doesn't feel right." Yeah. Yep. Yep. I keep hearing I've made the physics so precise. If you are not cross-checking your physics against real quads, and that's something that Velocidrone, DCL, and I think Liftoff all do, DRL, DCL, anyway, the good simulators with realistic physics don't just go based on math, but they actually test real quads and measure the results and try and make them match. And that means sometimes you have to make the physics be like mathematically imperfect, but they match as real life, and that's what matters. People critiquing my Steam library. Most of these games are games I play with my son. What have I got in my Steam library? Oh, I better have every single simulator here, because somebody's going to be offended if I don't. Let's see. Acro Simulator, Astroneer. Play that with my son. Borderlands 3. My son goes through games. He'll be real excited about a game for like 3 days, and I'll download it and install it, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I don't play that anymore." I'll be like, "Damn it. Cuphead, that's for me." Curious Expedition, this is a great game. They've just done a big update. This is actually a really good game. You should check this out. It may not be for everybody, but it's a very, very good game if you're into this style of game. Destiny 2, Don't Starve, haven't played that in forever. Doom, it's a good shooter. DRL Sim. Fallout 76, big disappointment. My son wanted to play that. We played it for like 3 days, got bored. Far Cry 5, that's fun. Let's see. My kid plays all the classics. He loves Half-Life, Half-Life 2. I swear to God. I swear to God this happened. I swear this happened in real life. He played Half-Life. He played Half-Life 2. He was like, so, time to download Half-Life 3. And I was like, oh, you sweet summer child. He's like, yeah, what are you talking about? These games came out like 20 years ago. Where's Half-Life 3? And I was like, oh, we've all been waiting. We've all been waiting for Half-Life 3. I was like, I could not have scripted it. Because he's like, what? We just download it from Steam. Surely it's out. I was like, I could not have scripted it. He did get to play Half-Life Alyx, though, which is kind of Half-Life 3. So he was born at just the right time. Oh, trying out that Liftoff Physics 4.0 experimental branch. Ooh. Let's see. What else? Anyway, all right. That's it. That's it. Oh. He did. He played Half-Life Alyx. So he has been begging for a VR headset ever since he was like 4 years old. He's 9 years old now. And I figured, okay, Half-Life Alyx is coming out. It's kind of like Half-Life 3. So for his 9th birthday, we got a VR headset for the house and let him play Half-Life Alyx. I haven't played Half-Life Alyx yet because he won't take that stupid headset off. Let me have a turn. Anyway. Okay, moving on. Thank you guys for taking a little tour through my Steam library with me. I mean, Half-Life Alyx kind of was Half-Life 3, wasn't it? People asking about the JBF7. I swear to God. So, it took longer than I thought to get the Betaflight targets approved. Have the Betaflight targets been approved yet? Let's see. We submitted the pull request, and I think we resolved all the issues. Well, I guess I would see it here in the list, right? If it was done. Nope, it's not done yet. I think what we decided over the weekend was to stop waiting for the Betaflight targets to be approved and go ahead and put them up for sale. And I believe that's email is going to go out to patrons on Monday for the first 100 of the JBF7. That's my goal. I think that's happening. So that's coming soon. JB in the Discord. Hey, I'm JB. Be careful. JB in the Discord says, what mode do you all fly your tiny whoops like Mobula 6 indoors? I can manage in air mode, but in acro mode I can do better. Yeah, JB, for a tiny whoop sized quad indoors, most people fly angle mode. And the reason for that is that you can make more precise stick movements, and when the quad like hits the wall, it auto recovers. It doesn't just go, you don't have to do it in acro. Some people do fly acro freestyle indoors, but that is so much harder than outdoors. So you're not making any bad habits or doing anything unusual by flying angle mode indoors. That's actually what the top racers do. Ciati is here. Ciati FPV in the chat. In the chat. That's right. Mr. Shady in the YouTube chat wants to know, I've been trying to update Betaflight on my friend's LOL 3, but flashing fails and it won't go into DFU with the button or the Impulse RC driver fixer. The board just gets disconnected. Mr. Shady, sometimes on some flight controllers, if the receiver is connected to a certain UART, it screws up bootloader mode. The way it works is that the microprocessor, the F4 chip, doesn't always know which UART to look for bootloader mode on. So when it powers up in bootloader mode, if it sees communication on a certain UART, it goes, oh, that's where you're trying to flash. And it puts bootloader mode on the wrong UART, and then USB can't connect. if you have like an SRXL2 receiver, the telemetry communication from the receiver can trick the flight controller into thinking you're trying to flash it on like UART 3, and then you can't get it to DFU mode. So what I would do is desolder the 5-volt pad from the receiver, power the receiver down, and then it'll probably go into DFU mode. Olafur Holmes says, is the Jumper T16 Pro on solid ground now after all the updates they offered, despite the fact that it's discontinued? Olafur, if you can get a T16 and get the upgraded ribbon cables for it, then I feel like it's the biggest thing that was wrong with the T16 was the ribbon cables. So I feel like if you get that, then that's I feel like it's still a pretty solid radio. The Radio Master is a current radio that's going to be sort of updated and kept up with. That is also available. James is wondering, any pics of the JBF7? How's that? Zoom, enhance. Enhance. Oh, phooey. What did I do? Oh, no, do this. Alright. Nope. Oh, great. Now I have to put that back. I've done it. I've screwed it all up. Oh. Hello. Okay, go back here. Go back there. Go back here. Nope. Pro live streaming. Boom. There we go. Ilmil wants to know if this is live. When people do have confusion that every so often someone comes along and leaves a bunch of comments on the DVR replay, not realizing that it's not live. Ilmil, this is live right now, but if you're watching it tomorrow, I just said it was live and it won't be live. So I understand that you're confused. TechGG Quad says just move your hand closer. Here's the problem with that. Not in focus, and I don't want to refocus my camera right here on stream. James can tell from here that there's good pad sizing. Yes, indeed. Copter Flight says, Josh, I'm traveling to Greece tomorrow. I would like to get my FPV stuff with me. Do I have to inform the airline that I travel with batteries? Copter Flight's the general rule is that you want the batteries in the checked... I'm sorry, God, I said... You want the batteries in the carry-on bag. You do not want to check the batteries. They don't want the batteries to be in the cargo hold if they light on fire. They want the batteries to be in the passenger cabin if they light on fire, because then they can deal with it. So carry on the batteries. The other rule that, at least in the US, the limit is 100 watt-hours maximum per battery. No limit to the number of batteries. However, other airlines do have different limits. Usually the 100 watt-hour limit applies, but they may have a limit on the number of batteries you can carry. You absolutely should check with your airline. And if you're traveling internationally, you can find yourself in a situation where you get to the country, but then they take your batteries away when you try and come home. That happened to Stingy once. He flew to Mexico, and leaving Mexico, they said, you can't take these batteries on the plane. And he was like, yes, I can. And they were like, nope. He was like, yeah, but the rules say. And they were like, sorry. And he lost all his batteries. So, I mean, that's always a risk. But what you definitely should not do is do not check the batteries in your check bag. Not allowed. Slappy1, JBF7, shooting for an announcement tomorrow. Olafur Holm, thank you for 750 ISK. Does Crossfire work with CleanFlight? Short answer, yes. Do you use link quality warning on R9 modules? Dan Munoz. To tell you, Dan, you specifically phrased the question as, do you use link quality warning? I don't, because I don't fly R9 on any of my quads. The big question, Dan, would be whether LQ on the R9 modules is true LQ or a synthetic LQ. Here's what I mean by that. Like FreeSky 2.4 gigahertz control, not R9, just regular FreeSky 2.4 gig control. You can get LQ from Betaflight, and what that is it just takes the number of dropped packets and like just synthesizes LQ. But here's the problem with that. The way that the link fails is everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine, now it's dead. So if you are getting LQ from the receiver, an actual metric of like the noise floor versus the signal, then you will see that failure coming because the LQ will go down over time. But if you're getting a synthetic LQ based on packet loss, it just goes from 99%, 99%, 99%, 0, and it's basically useless. So I don't know whether R9 LQ is actual LQ or a synthetic LQ. If it's synthetic, then don't use it. Just use RSSI. A Minor Threat, thank you for $10 in the super chat. A Minor Threat says, stop what you are doing and do the Immersion RC Ghost review right now. Fly the drone in your house, I believe. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know you want it. I want to give it to you. I will give it to you as soon as I feel like it's something I can stand behind. It's not ready yet. When it's ready, I may not be first, but that's it. Olafor got you in the super chat. Yeah, chaotic. A lot of people see like that they can do LQ even when using like a 2.4 gig protocol. But if it's a synthetic LQ, it's useless. I wish it weren't. I wish it were useless, because what happens is the way that the signal works is, let's say we've got a noise floor down here and we've got the RSSI up here. As long as you have like this much signal to noise ratio, you basically don't get any corrupted packets. It's like 100%. So what happens is that as you fly, the noise floor comes up, and as long as you got this much signal to noise ratio, everything's fine. As the noise floor comes up, then all of a sudden, blah, it just creams you. So proper LQ is measuring the signal to noise ratio and reporting it as it gets smaller. Synthetic LQ just says, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Ah, the fire's in the room! And then you're done. It's no good. Snoopy says, how come Immersion RC is providing a DVR update to the Fat Shark goggles, but Fat Shark itself doesn't? Is that a modded firmware, or are they affiliated to Fat Shark? Snoopy, Immersion RC and Fat Shark are sister companies in a lot of ways. They are not run or owned by the same people, but like I went and I visited the Fat Shark offices in China a couple of years ago. And Immersion RC is literally, their lab is in that office in China. They also have a lab in Switzerland where they're based. So when Immersion RC releases the updated Fat Shark DVR, that's official. That's official. A Minor Threat says, I think we need live reviews occasionally. I mean, I feel like the risk with a live review is, I feel like the bigger your YouTube channel is, the less responsible it is to do a live review. Because if I do a live review of, let's say I posted a live stream and I said, we're going to review Immersion RC Ghost. Let's go. If anything goes wrong in that live review, a lot of people will be like, aha, yeah, something went wrong. And if I then like fix it, you know, the fewer people tend to see the correction than tend to see the initial mistake. And this is something that some of my detractors have criticized me over, is that like when I release a video that has a couple notable times, like twice, once or twice in the past, I have made a notable video that I had to issue a retraction for because I determined that I had made a mistake. And one of the things that some people are mad about is that when I made those mistakes, it had a net negative effect that the company in question didn't deserve. That's 100% true. I mean, that's a fact. That when you release a scandalizing negative video and then you go, oh, shoot, I screwed up, and you release a retraction, no matter how much you try to promote the retraction, it's probably fewer people are going to see it than saw the original scandalous video. And so, you know, despite the fact that some people accuse me of being careless because it's happened ever, I do care about that. So especially with a brand new product like Ghost, I wouldn't want to do a live review because, like, let's say I just screw up. Let's say there's a bug in the firmware, you know, the pre-release firmware that they sent to reviewers, or maybe the release firmware. I want to make sure I get everything right, and I don't want to just do a live review where there's something goes wrong, and then also the live ones are just kind of long and tedious. There's so much dicking around at getting these reviews done. So that's why I don't do a lot of live reviews, especially with a new product like this, where I might not have all the information, or it may not be able to sort of present itself in its best light. Gabriel Widman says, well, when are you going to do the review of the Ghost? Well, when it's done. The part of the problem is that I am actually going to be going on a trip starting on Tuesday of this coming week, which means that if I don't finish this review of the Ghost by Tuesday, it's not going to be for another like 2 weeks. So I hope to get something up in the middle of next week, but I'm not going to rush to put something up just to get something out. I'm going to wait until I have good stuff. I will never rush to get content up and sacrifice the quality of the content as a result. Never. Okay. Live reviews are all about hype, says It's Blunty. Doesn't help anyone but the view count. Yeah. Why is it so difficult for DJI to implement Betaflight OSD elements in their goggles? Asks Copterflights. Copterflights, I saw a post from Oscar Leong. They've added a bunch of them. The one Betaflight OSD element, they have almost all of them, but not all of them. I don't know why it's so difficult to implement, but I think part of it is that the Betaflight interface for OSD is... there's not a generic interface for Betaflight OSD. And what I mean by that is DJI has to choose the OSD element, then read the value and read the position separately. And so there's this really clunky interaction between the DJI goggles and the Betaflight flight controller. What some people have proposed is that Betaflight should have a generic OSD, kind of like an old terminal interface, where Betaflight just says, write this value to the screen in this position. But the problem with that is that's actually really data intensive and slow, and the radio link is not actually super fast. So this is especially true for the warning OSD element. The warning OSD element, the way that it's displayed is pretty tedious and difficult to implement. Some people have proposed a change where the quadcopter name element, which is, or the pilot name, which is supported by DJI, is replaced with the warning element. The Betaflight devs don't want to make that change, though, because it's kind of a kludgy hack. And they're like, let's not just introduce this kludgy hack that only works with this one product. Let's have a proper solution that works for everybody. So the truth is that the issues with the Betaflight OSD and the DJI goggles, it's actually a more complicated situation than it seems like it should be. So It's Darts says the problem with scripted reviews is we don't get to see what a piece of crap something is. We shouldn't be shown pre-release products. It starts. I agree with you. I go back and forth. Like, for example, if there's a pre-release product from a company who I've either never heard of, or some companies I know have a reputation of showing good pre-release products, but then when they deliver, the product is kind of crappy. And I'm not gonna name names. In those cases, I will not review a pre-release product because I'm not going to review some hype product and go, this thing is great, and then they release it and it's crap, and that makes me look bad, right? It's very simple. There are other companies who I feel comfortable reviewing a pre-release product, either because it's such an interesting product that I know that even though it's pre-release, people really want to know, or because I have confidence that when they send me the pre-release product, it will reflect the final product. The Immersion RC Ghost, they are in production, so this is actually production stuff. Great. I really respect vendors who wait until you have production product before they send it to reviewers. It pisses me off sometimes. Like the Gep RC Mark IV, they sent me the flight controller and it had the pins going to the ESC, and the pins broke. And I said, no, you should never do this. And they said, well, actually, we didn't. That was just, we changed that. And I'm like, well, great. Now you look bad and I look dumb. Thanks. Don't send me a pre-release product, then change it going to production and not tell me about it. Maybe they did tell me and I just forgot. It's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible. So yeah, I usually prefer not to review pre-release products, but I sometimes make exceptions. So Lars FPV wants to know, does the DJI signal have better or worse RC signal noise than FreeSky? The DJI system control link has more range than FreeSky. GS4 SHA FPV wants to know what I think of 3D flying. I've tried 3D occasionally, but it takes too much work, and I have never taken the time to get good at it. You can try it, though. Daxtasy FPV, thanks for $5 in the super chat. In your Charlie Potter video, what's the trick to the snappy direction changes he does? I've been trying to recreate for months. Bro, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you, man. Charlie Potter, if you're out there, what is the trick to the snappy direction changes you do? I feel the same way. I was looking at some old Johnny FPV videos, and there's something about, he's just like, boop, bop, boop, bop, bop. I don't know if it's the rates or if it's the, it feels like their quad is super light or something. I have no idea. You should give that $5 to Charlie Potter and ask him. I don't know. Chase, I mean, did it look like I was doing it? That's my first. I mean, you shouldn't ask me if I didn't do it. Maybe I did. Chase Canton, thanks for $5. Thoughts on KISS now that you've owned one? Thoughts on FetTech? Chase Canton, my thought on FetTech is that I wish Defiance RC would finally send me my FetTech ESC so I could get my KISS rig back in the air after the ESC blew up. I hear the FetTech 45 amp ESC is pretty robust. Defiance RC, by the way, is not to blame here. They are waiting on stock from FetTech, and I ordered one and I'm just waiting. FetTech, very high quality, but also expensive. Anders Martinson, I have literally today asked Flywoo to send me that long-range quad. It looks so interesting. Bastian Sonderman, thanks for €2. A day at the range, thanks for $15. I'll work on cleaning up the firmware. I'm sending you a set of goggles so you don't... Oh. A day at the range... How much of this am I allowed to talk about? A day at the range is sending. Day at the range, you guys, you're gonna love this. A day at the range is the guy who has some custom firmware for his DJI that lets him go further than DJI normally lets you go. And of course, the question that you got to ask is, how is he making custom firmware for DJI? Isn't that like impossible? And he was like, no, you just do the thing and then you do the thing. And I'm like, okay, you're clearly a genius or just a giant nerd, or I mean that in the best possible way at Day at the Range. And then he reaches out to me and he says, so I got this system that gives you HDMI out from the DJI goggles. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, yes, I, me and a whole lot of other people would be very, very interested in your system for getting HDMI out from the DJI goggles. You're going to make a lot of money if you can commercialize that. So he's sending that to me. I would be very. I think he said it was okay if I mention that it exists, but not that I say how it's done, which is easy because I don't really understand how it's done. So. ETFPV, thanks for $5. Build a frame, JB, he says. A minor threat wants me to do live reviews every so often. I think I got that. What's your thoughts on KISS now you've owned one? Chase Canton. Okay, we're caught up on super chats. Switchflip wants to know, thank you for $2, Switchflip. Will we see the DJI FPV2? I mean, eventually, probably. I don't know whether it'll be sooner or later, though. Yeah, eventually they will release V2, but it depends on how well V1 is selling. Off-Axis FPV says, a day at the range. Prove yourself! We all want to see proof of your ridiculous claims. You say you can get HDMI out? I think you're just doing that for internet points. We all want proof. Well, say sending it to me, so I mean, there you go. I agree, it's plenty. It seems like proof. We'll see. The thing is, I believe him. I mean, I don't think he would have said... the thing is, whether it is a commercially viable solution that an average person could use, or whether it's some crazy engineering hack with a bunch of caveats, that's the big question. It's Blunty, yeah. Mike Keller said they could that DJI could add support for MSP DisplayPort. That would allow compatibility with all elements with no real issues. That would be amazing. Why don't they do that? Can they do that? DJI, get on it. I'm being told I missed Mike S's question. Where's Mike S's question? Thank you, Ragav Vera, for $5. A minor threat says, no live stream reviews. What about live stream cooking shows? Where's Mike's question? I missed Mike. Mike, where's your question, dude? I'm going all the way back. Where's Mike's question that I missed? No, there's no super chat from Mike. Mike S. I don't think I missed a super chat from Mike. There's Mike S. Mike S asks, it's not a super chat, it's just a question. Mike S asks, the Xylo is my first build. I've got the RXSR receiver and a Tyrannus X9D Plus. I got it to bind, but no stick movements show up in the receiver tab. Mike S, you're going to want to make sure you're using the green S-Bus out wire, not the white S-Bus in wire. That's a common mistake because they both have S-Bus. So be using the green wire, and then the green wire goes to the S-Bus pad on the flight controller. At this point, I normally what I do is I ask you to show me a photograph of your wiring so I can verify the wiring, and a picture or screen grab of the ports tab. Best thing for you to do, Mike, at that point would be to email me, because I, of course, going back and forth on a live stream would be pretty tedious. So Mike S, or anybody, if you have a question that I can't get to on a live stream, just email me, joshuabardwell@gmail.com. I know all the cool kids are Snapchatting now. My wife and her friends Snapchat with each other. Apparently Snapchat... So I thought Snapchat was just what college kids used to send pictures of their genitals to each other. But apparently Snapchat is just a generic messaging platform, because my wife said, I got Snapchat today so I could chat with my friends. And I was like, are y'all doing something I don't know about? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you like sending like nudes to your friends? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, why are you using Snapchat then? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, never mind. I'm going to find out years later that that's what they were doing. So send me an email, because I'm not on Snapchat, and I'll try and help you out with your questions. Apparently Snapchat is still a thing. TikTok is all the rage now. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Anne-Marie Ferguson has a question that people are talking about in the chat. Anne-Marie Ferguson. If I'm missing, think about it. I answer one question for 7 minutes. There's only so many questions I'm going to get to in a single live stream. I'm probably not ignoring your question. It just hasn't caught my eye. But now it has. Anne-Marie Ferguson, I've been troubleshooting a problem with my 4S 5-inch drone. I'm getting 2-minute flight times while cruising. I don't know why this is happening. What's the problem? So why is your flight time super short? Number one thing I would check, Anne-Marie, is are you fully charging your batteries? And what voltage are you stopping at? Because a lot of people would jump to the question of, like, am I using too much energy? But the question I would ask first is, are you actually using your whole battery? So you want to use a proper battery checker or even a multimeter. Test the battery voltage off the charger. It should be 4.2 volts per cell. If it's not, then your charger isn't fully charging your batteries. That's your problem. Then check your OSD. Plug the battery, measure the battery voltage with your multimeter. Then plug the battery in. Look in your goggles. Does it correctly read 4.2 volts per cell? 16.8 volts for a 4S. If your multimeter says 16.8 volts, but you plug it in and it says 16.2 volts, your flight controller is not reading the voltage correct, and that's why your flight time is so short. Finally, when you finish the pack, where are you stopping? Because some people say, well, I stop at 3.8 volts. You're not, you're like, you got 25% more in the tank. So run it down to, I run mine down to about 3.5, 3.6 volts per cell typically. And then they rebound to like 3.7. And that's a good place to be, I feel like. So if you're only getting 2-minute flight time, those are the things I would check. There you go, Anne-Marie. I got it. Oh, man. It's Blunty says, what do you think about this new HGLRC program where they refund people if they post a review? Apparently they gave someone a refund before they even got the flight controller. Okay. That's actually not as uncommon a thing as you think. Not in the FPV industry. It's very, very common to see Amazon vendors doing this because Amazon bases a lot of the placement of a product on the reviews and the ratings, and they give a lot of priority to actual reviews from people who purchased it. So if you shop on Amazon a lot, you will regularly get a message from the vendor saying, we're going to refund the product if you leave us a review. And if you leave a negative review, they will come out of the woodwork to find you and try and get you to remove it. So HGLRC isn't doing, by the way, I don't know about this program. I hadn't heard of it. So I'm just taking what It's Blunty says, assuming that what It's Blunty says is accurate. They're not doing anything ridiculous here. Of course, there's always the question of, is the review going to be honest? If they're giving refunds before they even get the flight controller, the good news is that the review should be honest because the review doesn't depend on the refund. A lot of people say, how can you be an honest reviewer if you are getting compensated for the review? And my response to that is that I understand why you ask that question. But, like, once you get to a certain point as a reviewer, you know, the product itself becomes just grist for the mill. So for somebody to say, I'm going to send you a free quadcopter, but only if you give me a positive review. And I'm like, okay, don't send me a quadcopter. Like this Flywoo quadcopter that Flywoo is going to send me. I saw the other people reviewing it and went, oh, this looks really interesting. I'd like to take a look at that. And then I said to Flywoo, do you want to send me one? And they said, sure. Okay, great. I'm happy. I appreciate that. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm thankful that is whatever it costs, $100, $200. I don't know. I haven't looked. But the flip side is that if I decided it was worth making a review, I would just buy one, because that's sort of, it's just a business expense at that point. It's still real money, but so the integrity that I have is the goose that laid the golden egg, right? That you guys believe that I speak with integrity and honesty, and that's worth so much more than a $200 quadcopter. Now, that none of that is true for the average consumer who spent $40 on a flight controller. They have no incentive to be honest with their viewers and to have a reputation for integrity. That doesn't mean that they're inherently dishonest, just like they're like, okay, yeah, it was pretty good. Also, they just got it, and then they're going to review it, and then they're going to just get a refund. So I feel like it's a way to get positive reviews. Ciati in the chat, Ciati FPV said, I wish they'd refund people when the flight controller light's on fire. Yeah. Hey, HDLRC, if you want to start a refund program, start by refunding everybody whose shit lit on fire. Not all of them lit on fire. Some of them. Look at that list and see how many negative reviews there are, because if there aren't any, then that's a problem. A day at the range, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I have to use my own firmware. I'm not sure how to make a good product out of it, because who wants to use my firmware untested by DJI? Aha. So this HDMI output thing only works with Day at the Range's custom firmware. Yikes. Yeah, that's yeah. That's a big if. Although I guarantee you there's a lot of people in this hobby who would absolutely use your untested firmware if it gave them HDMI output. Guarantee. I mean, some of them would do it. Tony T, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I have an issue with white horizontal lines in my goggles using the Hobbywing 60 amp stack with a TBS Unify Pro. Cheers for all you do. Tony T, white horizontal lines, does it happen only when you start the motors? Normally the motors cause black lines. Why? I don't know. White horizontal lines to me usually means Wi-Fi interference. If you have white horizontal lines and it happens all the time, even when your motors aren't running, that's Wi-Fi. The way to work around Wi-Fi interference is go to channel race 8 or 7. Those are outside the range of channels used by Wi-Fi. Oh, look, Cold Pancakes is back. I told you were going to get fired, Cold Pancakes. Cold Pancakes got put in timeout. Here, let's all watch. Hide user on this channel. Bye-bye. He's gone forever. Now, they say you should just do that stuff quietly and not, like... Now, Cold Pancakes is like, aha, I got on the live stream. But just this once. I'm going to just show it. Bye-bye, Cold Pancakes. You're fired forever. So on YouTube, you can't prevent people from commenting on your videos or in your live streams. But what you can do is hide user from this channel. And it's almost like a shadow ban. They still see their own comments, but no one else sees them. And I kind of love it. Because if I decide that for whatever... Like, there are some people who just troll my comments. They're just like, you suck. And I just hide from channel. And I never see their comment again. But they don't know that. I like to think of them... I like to think that somewhere out there, there's someone who leaves shit comments on every one of my videos. You suck, Bardwell! Yeah! And then they're like, yeah! I did my daily pissing on Bardwell. And I have no idea they even exist. It makes me so happy. Makes me so happy. Oh. Hey, a minor threat. Cold pancakes are good. I will not hear any bad mouthing of cold pancakes. A cold pancake with a little syrup, maybe wrap a little sausage in it. So good. PC Planet, thanks for $5. I have a better idea for DJI. How about an air unit that sends HDMI input to the DJI goggles for simulator use? Yeah, that's a fine idea. They're not going to do it, but yeah, it's a great idea. Regav Vera, thank you for $5. And Hercules Notice, thank you for $5. Thanks for answering my question on Monday. I went with the Mamba stack, and I think it's DOA. Oh, crap. I mean, if you got DOA hardware, if you literally got DOA hardware, don't troubleshoot it. Try to get the vendor to replace it for you. Go back to the store and say, this was DOA. Please replace it for me. Say it politely. Tark61, how long did it take you to come up with your FPV name? I mean, know it all. I didn't have an FPV name. Eventually, I developed the YouTube channel. There was a time when I thought the branding of my YouTube channel would be Drone Racing Engineer, which drone racing felt like a search term that was going to pop. It never did. I was like, you know, DRL is a thing. But then at some point I settled on know-it-all because I have I mean it a little bit ironically, like, but also I don't mean it like literally I know everything. But I just took that nickname for myself. I thought it was the kind of thing that other people might call me a little bit sarcastically, and I wanted to sort of reclaim it. Brian Doctor says, I finally bought Velocidrone after flying liftoff and DRL for over a year. Velocidrone's so much better. Brian Doctor, I will say, if you're interested in multi-GP style racing, Velocidrone is the best. If you want to do freestyle, there are people who freestyle Velocidrone, but their flight model is very tuned towards flying a high power to weight quadcopter, a lightweight quadcopter around flags and gates. It is very, very accurate at that exact thing. When you fly it freestyle, it's not that it isn't bad. It's still good. It's just the environments aren't really tailored towards freestyle, and the flight model, it feels like you're flying a lightweight, powerful racing drone, which is not what most freestyle quads are. Nick Sebring wants a link to the most updated Fat Shark firmware. I mean, the DVR firmware is like 1.12. It's the same firmware that's on Fat Shark's site. They haven't updated it again since they released that 1.12 update. Anders Martinson says Velocidrone is the best physics hands down. That's why he uses it for freestyle. Well, fair enough. Liftoff 4.0 physics is interesting. What sim do I recommend for freestyle? Oh, wow. That's tough. I got to say, I've flown DCL a little bit, but I've heard from other people who were really impressed with DCL when it first came out, and said that the physics were quite good. DRL, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to pick one best, honestly, especially because they keep improving. So, like, I haven't flown DRL much since I did that DRL co-hosting thing. And, you know, for all we know, they've improved it. Liftoff is currently working on their Physics 4.0 release. I don't think it's out yet. And that's, I mean, the Physics 3.0 was a big step up, and 4.0 is a big step up from that. I think the takeaway is that the physics aren't really perfect on any of them. And there are other factors you should be looking at if you're trying to pick one of the sims to get. Velocidrone is hands down the one to get if what you're interested in is multi-GP style racing. Hands down. It's the closest to that, and it's pretty darn close. For freestyle and just fun flying, Like DRL has the competitions. Liftoff also has online play, but DRL has a really robust league system and online play system, and for racing. For freestyle and fun, I think you got to look at the environments. DRL has a couple of strong environments, really big environments like the Aircraft Boneyard. Liftoff has, I think, a wider variety of environments, but the maps tend to be smaller. So Liftoff has like the Duga map where you can play in the Duga aircraft, like from Chernobyl. But it's like just the antenna and like almost nothing else. DCL, I got a lot of experience with, to be honest with you. It starts, says DCL felt floaty to me, but that could be settings. If you fly a simulator and it feels floaty, the number one thing to do is turn all of your graphics settings to minimum. And you need to get your frame rate up. If you're not getting at least 60 frames per second, you actually can't judge the physics. So a lot of, and now when I say that, sometimes the other person says, no, I'm getting like 200 frames per second. And then I'm like, okay, it's something else. But a lot of people are on marginal PCs that can't quite cut it, and then they fly the simulator and it feels floaty, and they're like, this is bad physics. And it's why is the physics tied to the frame rate? I don't know. The people who develop games say it just is. There's reasons. So if you're not getting at least 60 frames per second, you actually can't judge the physics. Archimedes says disable VSync to get rid of the floatiness. That's true. VSync adds 1 or 2 frames, maybe a little more. I think it's just a couple frames of delay. Disable VSync and be at least 60 frames per second, if not more. The higher the frame rate, the better the physics are going to feel. That's a fact. Nick Burns, when are you going to get somebody to model your house? People want to fly a tiny whoop around your house in a simulator. When are you going to get Nick Burns' house in a sim? That would be amazing. Not all engines tie physics to FPS, says PC Planet. I don't know, man. All I know is that I talked to the Liftoff devs, I talked to Ashley Davis, the main Velocidrone dev, and I talked to the DRL. I didn't talk to the devs directly, but I talked to my media contact at DRL. And all 3 of them agree that with a lower frame rate, your physics get worse. That's all I know. So if not all engines tie physics to FPS, their engines do. That's all I can say. Nadiesel Girl, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Yes, M3 screws are correct for the Bardwell stack. Best grommets. I mean, it should have come with grommets, right? I mean, I think all the silicon flight control gummies are the same, basically. If you need to order aftermarket, they should all be the same, but... A day at the range said, thank you for $5. I have a way where you can use your DJI goggles on your computer. No firmware, just my hardware. I don't know. Yeah, send it all, dude. Nam A, thank you for $4 in the super chat. Thanks for troubleshooting my problems. Great vids. Thank you. It's Blunty says, all the racers in our leagues get faster when they get better PCs or faster refresh rate monitors on Velocidrone. That's true, It's Blunty. So the number one thing to do if your simulator feels floaty or inaccurate is get your frame rate up. Turn your like the top Velocidrone racers, even though they are running on top-end PCs, they still turn their graphics all the way down just to get that little bit more frame rate. The other thing to do is to get a higher refresh rate monitor. So if you're running on a 60 FPS monitor, going to a 144 FPS monitor will make it feel smoother and more realistic, which is so weird because my Fat Shark goggles aren't 144 FPS. So why would I need my computer monitor to be 144 FPS to give me a realistic experience? I don't know the answer to that, but it's a fact. If you look at what the pros are doing when they race in like the Velocidrone League, set your graphics to minimum, get the highest frame rate you can, and then get a higher refresh rate monitor at up to 144 FPS. Is the Hoda D6 comparable to the Duo D6 charger, Knowles 5555? They are exactly the same. They're made in the same factory. They just have a different name stuck on them when they go out the door. They're identical. Do I waterproof quote my quad with electronics? I don't, because I'm lazy. I should, but I don't, and I just don't fly when it's wet out. There you go. Jacob Sir says, I have an R9MM receiver and my RSSI is really low. All I have to do is leave the room and I'm already at like 10 RSSI. Jacob, I wonder if your RSSI readout is just inaccurate. If you're reading RSSI from the OSD, probably the flight controller is just not set up to read RSSI. If you're reading RSSI from the telemetry sensor screen, that's a different story. But I'm going to guess that your RSSI isn't actually that low. That's my guess. What's the best battery case for DJI on 18650s? Asks Kieran in the Discord. You've heard me mentioning the Discord throughout the stream. I do have a Discord server. Here we go. Let's take a look. I do have a Discord server. These lovely people on my Discord server are my patrons. And if you want to join them, you can join my Patreon down in the right below this video in the video description. There's a link to my Patreon, which is a service that lets you support me for just a couple bucks a month, as little as $2 a month. You can feel good about giving back a little bit in exchange for all the wonderful content and entertainment you get. That's called guilt. I'm going to do the little NPR thing, right? You already listen to our content. You cheap son of a bee. You can't give $2? You don't know how many videos you watch. You just dropped $2 on the ground and didn't even bend over to pick it up because you're lazy. Well, stop it. Become a member. And you can get this tote bag. That's how you do it, right? Is that how you do it? I'm not sure. You can join my Patreon, become a member of my Discord server. And I'll answer your questions. I'll answer your questions anyway. That's my account. What? Hold on. My accountant is talking to me. What do you mean? I'm only supposed to answer their questions if they pay me. No, I just answer everybody's questions. Well, what do you mean, why would they pay me? No, they just do it because they feel grateful. She's saying I should not answer your questions until after you pay me. That's weird. What's the best battery case for DJI on 18650s? I would not recommend running the DJI goggles on 18650s. The battery cases, they typically hold 2 cells, and you're going to get like 3,000 milliamp hours. But that's 3,000 milliamp hours at 2S voltage. The DJI goggles will just suck the 18650s dry so fast. I recommend like a 1,300 or 1,500 milliamp hour 4S in your pocket, not an 18650. Yeah, Boyd, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Feeling guilty. Bad Habit RC, thanks for $5 in the super chat. Is it just me, or when I fly sim, I fly better when I use my Fat Sharks instead of my TV? I don't know about that. Some people have reported that. I personally fly on the screen just because I don't like to be lifting the goggle up and down. But you're not the first person to tell me that. Lollipop says Alex got fired by PewDiePie in the last stream. I did see that stream, Lollipop, the Dr. Disrespect and the versus PewDiePie, and PewDiePie fired Alex. Yep. Watch it, PC Planet. Watch it with the stereotypes, my friend. Be careful. Be careful. Sean's FPV, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Cheap SOB. Yep. That's it. $2 at a time. Ruling the world. $2 at a time. And people, somebody asked me, somebody was horribly offended, and he said, well, he left a comment on one of my videos. I do read the comments on my videos. I read a lot of them. He said, I would support you, but you don't have a $1 tier. You've only got a $2 tier. I feel like you're worth $1. Not $2, just $1. Why don't you have a $2 tier? You should give us more options. I was just like, whatever. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Do what you got to do, man. Kedrick Perkins, are the Attitude V5 worth it, or do I need to spend more? Kedrick, the Attitude V5 are around $300. You don't need to spend more. There are good $300 goggles out there. I would be looking at like the EV300D, or not the EV300, EV200D, or the Sky Zone, whichever Sky Zone is the O2C, I think, that comes in at around $300. You should at least cross-shop those. The Attitude V5 have an OLED screen, but they have a really funky, it's a 16:10 aspect ratio, so it chops off the top and bottom of the image, which just bugs me. The Attitude V5 are good, but not everybody will be happiest with the Attitude V5 at the $300 price point. Yeah, Lollipop, I agree. Lollipop says the amount of help you get from the Discord is worth way more than $2. I sometimes feel like I feel grateful. The people on my Discord, here's how it goes. I started the Discord because I was like, well, they say, you know, you should connect with your fans, I want to provide extra value to my patrons. And part of the challenge is that I've always just answered everybody's questions without I never feel comfortable saying, before I'll answer your question, you need to pay me. So I just answer everybody's questions. I always have. I feel like when I first got into it, I remember one of the first questions I asked on RC Group is, why are my motors twitching when I'm disarmed? I didn't know about calibrating the ESCs. And somebody said, hey, here's what you need to do. And it fixed it for me. And I remember that to this day. When I first started, there were so many things that confused me, and so many people gave me so much information. Nobody asked for any money. They just helped me. And I said, okay, so I'm never going to put helping other people behind a paywall. And I haven't. So then you start the Discord server, and you're like, well, you know, you want to provide the question is, how can you then provide more value to the people who do pay you? Because for the people who do pay you, it's like, well, I mean, I always say, whatever value you think you're already getting, just pay me that much. And then we're even. But you still want to give a little, you know, because a lot of people don't do it. So you start the Discord server. And the Discord server has about 700 active members, roughly. It's hard to know how many are active. Maybe a few hundred active members. And, like, I'll show up, and overnight somebody asked a question, and then somebody else helped them out and answered it. And I'm like, well, what? They're just answering questions. And people say, wow, your Discord server is so helpful. And I'm like, you're right, it is. Thank you, everybody, for being helpful. Yep. So I'm really grateful to everybody who makes it valuable. But I'm still keeping the $2, okay? That's where I feel a little guilty. Because, like, these guys are up in the middle of the night helping people out. And I'm like, I feel like I should give you $2. That would just get weird and awkward, though. Okay. We're coming up on the end of the stream. It's almost 3 p.m. I will be streaming again tomorrow, Monday at 8 p.m. And a reminder that there will be no stream next week. No stream next week. Because I will be doing a training. I'll be doing a consulting / training engagement, and I'll be on the road, and I don't stream from the road because the technical stuff is too tricky. So, Priya Bharata Saha, thank you for 40 rupees. Have I heard of the new EV300O? Painless 360 reviewed them. I have heard of them. I'm supposed to be getting them. I don't know where they are. But yeah, EV300O, I'm looking forward to reviewing them. I am super mad. Okay, that's overstating it. I'm annoyed because the EV300D had latency problems, image quality problems. They released firmware. In my opinion, they never completely fixed the issue, and then they kind of abandoned the product and released the EV300O. So no matter how good the EV300O is, on some level, I'm going to be annoyed that they never really, that there are still owners of the EV300D that feel like they got shafted. I don't know what Iyashid could do to fix that. I mean, I think if they could release a firmware that 100% fixed it, they would. But they haven't, so I assume they're not going to. So... I have one more thing I want to say before the stream ends. I meant to say it earlier in the stream. I ordered some open loggers from Airbot. This is it's a serial-based black box logger, but unlike the older ones that are super slow and can't run very fast, this one is super fast. I ordered a couple of these from Airbot, and I ordered 2, and they sent me like 20, and I thought, oh, well, I guess, sometimes companies see my name when I order things, and they're like, you're JB, maybe you'll do a review, and they send me extra things. It's hard to be a reviewer. It's a tough life. So then they emailed me, and they were like, hey, shipping is really slow. So we sent you some extras, and we would really appreciate it if you would forward them to customers in the United States. And I said, that's weird, but okay. Please, let's not make a habit of this. So I want to say, there are about 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you ordered some product from Airbot and you get it in an envelope with my name on it, number one, I don't work for Airbot. And that's why. Manuel Mata. Patrick Klein. Thomas McGraw, T-Mac, that's T-Mac FPV, John Krell, Jonathan Crum, Michael Niederhauser, James Thomas, and Bradley Todd. When you receive it and it comes from me, please don't be confused. That's what happened. FPV Gizmo, yes, that is a cheeky ask, I agree. To be fair, I went back through the email history, and they did ask if I would do it. They said, hey, we're sending this stuff, and in sort of non-native English speak, they said, and, maybe you could forward these on. And I didn't answer them. I was like, okay, whatever. Are you sending my product? And they said, okay. And I said, okay. And they were like, okay. And I was like, and then my product came in the mail, and it turned out I had agreed to do this without realizing it. Yes, they're paying for postage, Kieran. I also charged them. I charged them a half hour of labor to do it. That will hopefully encourage them not to do it again, because my labor does not come cheap. But I realized that somebody's going to make an order from Airbot, and then they're going to get an envelope with my name on it, and be like, does Joshua Bardwell work for Airbot? Is he doing fulfillment for Airbot? And that could be weird. So I just wanted to mention that. I thought you'd think it was funny. 1 minute left in the live stream. Shane Beast, what 5-inch bind and fly would you recommend running FreeSky and analog? Sedora SL5E. The iFlight Sedora SL5E is an easy go-to for $200. Aaron Ciotti. 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 Aaron Ciotti. What kind of stream are you doing today, buddy? Post your link. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 3 p.m. I am going to go off the air, and he is going to start streaming over on his channel, and he is going to share his link to his live stream. There we go. AHRENCIOTTI, Aaron Ciotti. Aaron Ciotti. People are always asking how to spell his name. Now they know. AHRENCIOTTI. Haschenberg wants a tote. I'm not making a tote. Hang on. Does Teespring make totes? Start designing. Tote bag. Sell tote bag. Add image. DRE documents. No, DRE graphics. Where's graphics? Documents. Graphics. Logos. Perfect. Oh no, we're going to make that way bigger. It's going to complain about the print quality, though, because the resolution is too low. How about that? No. It's not going to let me do it because the print quality is too small. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh. There you go. Price for product, $20. $7 profit per sale. $15. It's just a little more than that. $18. $5. That seems reasonable. All right. I really think I really need to upscale this graphic so we can get it bigger. Hang on. Let's add image. Let's see. Nah. There's nothing. Oh, here we go. There we go. There you go. Perfect. Done. Put that up there. All right, guys. That's it. We're out of here. I'm going to let Ciotti. I'm 2 minutes into Ciotti's time already. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then throughout the week. Happy flying, everybody.